Hi everybody, today we're going to talk about pinch pots. So to start with, you're going to want to make sure that you've got your clay and then a nice neat surface. I've got a piece of clay that's about the size of a softball or a little bit bigger than a 9 fist. And you're going to start off by making sure that your clay is all good and set by wedging it. So just give it a quick wedge. Mine is of course sticking to the table, as yours will as well. All right, and then you're gonna take your hand and you're gonna smack it until it's a perfect ball. And when I say a perfect ball, I really mean a perfect ball. So here we go. So I'm pretty close. This is looking pretty good. You'll notice that there are some little ripples and such still, but that's plenty good. Now let's make sure that we use something to clean our work surface. All right, so from here, you may find that if you have a banding wheel, that would make it a little bit easier to do what we're about to do. Another thing that you could do is just take a paper towel, or even if you had like a piece of plastic, you could use that. I'll show you using the paper towel. So you can go ahead and take it, and the first thing you're gonna do is you're going to, once again, just making sure that it's a really perfect ball. And I'm gonna find a spot, and I'm gonna take my thumb, and I'm going to stick it in. And I'm gonna go ahead and start pinching between my thumb and my hands to pull it out. And I'm keeping my other hand underneath it. And now I'm just gonna spin it around in a circle, making that same motion repeatedly. And you can see that the inside is starting to open up. Now I'm gonna set it on my little paper towel because that's gonna make it spin easily. And I'm gonna push down further now. I want the thickness of the clay to be about the thickness of my thumb to start with overall. We're going to get it down to the thickness of my pinky overall, or about 1/4 of an inch thick. But now my goal is to push down and keep spinning, push, 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 little by little, making everything exactly the same thickness. So I'm coming up my sides, and you notice I'm using my other hand to spin it. Okay, so I've just gone all the way around, and I'll show you inside. So inside you can compare, so I've got my finger. My finger comes down to there, so I'll mark that with my thumb. And then when I compare it, so it's coming down and leaving only that little space at the bottom that's got clay. So I'm gonna keep coming around. And I'm pushing that clay that's at the bottom in an upward way, making small movements, just repeated small movements, going around. And it might be easier at some points to just hold it in your hands and do the same thing. And my goal right now is to make this taller by doing this exact same motion all the way around it repeatedly. So now I can get 2 hands in there if that feels more comfortable. Gonna get a back view on that. So I've got my thumb inside pressing, and I've got my palm on the other side pressing against it. And you can see that I just made a little mistake there, and I just need to smooth it over with my thumb. So I'm just gonna smooth over anytime I make a mistake. All right, and then from here, I've got the beginnings of my form. I'm gonna try flipping it over and see if I can't smooth out the base edge a little bit. because now I'm gonna go for it being as symmetrical as possible. So I'm cupping it and just making the same pushing motion with my hands. All right. So now I'm just gonna continue my process, going from the bottom to the top, going pinch, 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 from the bottom to the top. And my goal is to have it be about 1/4 of an inch thick, which is about the thickness of my pinky, or a little bit thinner. If your hands are larger, you know, you can base it off of your own hands and it'll still be in the range of what's expected. All right. Now that I've got it to the point where it's a pretty even thickness, you'll notice that my top isn't quite perfectly level, and we'll talk about how to fix that up a little bit later. But now I'm gonna just address the base edge in the direction that I want it to have. So I'm pushing with 2 hands now, providing opposite pressure. And this would be easier if I put it on my paper towel, because that helps it just spin and glide on the table. All right. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to get a rib tool, which I could use my little plastic thing that came in your kit, or if you have like a real rib tool, you might have one of these or one of these. You could take this one, put your thumb on one side and your fingers on the other side, and kind of fold it. And then you're gonna use that instead of your hand on the outside to hold your hand and drag. Okay, you could also do this with this guy, it's just bigger. So I'm holding my hand and then I'm dragging bottom to top, and that's exactly where I'm putting my hand. So bottom to top, and I'm just slowly, see I got a little extra there, I might want to wipe that off. Bottom to top. And again, I keep moving my hand and rotating it so that where I'm pressing in is also where I'm supporting, pushing outward. And now I'm just going around and smoothing. Just having a really fun time getting it really nice and smooth. All right, so you can see that now my outside is much smoother than it was before. It's not perfect, and my top is still a little bit off level. And we'll talk about how to fix the top, and we'll talk about how to keep finishing it when it gets to a drier state a little bit later on. If you notice at this point that there's any like big imperfections, just pinch it. Just smooth it with your fingers and do your best to kind of just make it even. And now we're gonna let it get leather hard. But before we do so, I want you to take your hands and just kind of hold it like a collar, or come around like this at the top and make it a perfect circle, or as close to a perfect circle as you can get. Okay, so that's where we'll stop for part 1 of our pinch pot.